CEO here at Resin Rockers. We are going to be doing shakers tonight. I am super excited about this class. You are going to learn everything about shakers. You're gonna learn the basics, so from start to finish, how to pour into your mold, how to cure it the right way, how to seal it the right way. We're going to do two types of shakers tonight. We're doing liquid shakers and we're doing dry shakers. I'm gonna show you all the tips and tricks tonight so that you can be successful like I am. Safety is number one. I want to make sure that you are safe. If you want to wear a respirator or a mask, I suggest that you do that. Make sure that you're working in a well-ventilated room. I will be wearing nitrile gloves. If you have nitrile gloves or latex and you don't have a latex allergy, make sure that you are wearing those and make sure that you are wearing proper clothing. I am wearing an apron. If you have never worked with resin and you are afraid you're gonna be really, really messy, you can wear long sleeves if you wish. So let's go through our kit and I'm going to tell you what is in it so that you know what all of these things are. There are going to be some of you that have never even opened it yet, and we're going to open it together, which is super, super fun. All right, so the first thing you're going to see is your Magic Flow solution. This is from Two Moms Craft Shack. This is one of the products that I live by every single day. I use it in all my snow globe pens, snow globe tumblers, and we're gonna use it tonight in our shakers. There are 3 formulas of this. I'm giving you the original because this is the one that's the most popular. So that's what we're going to be using as our solution. When we're filling up our shakers, we're going to use this little syringe and you'll see this little tip right here. So we're gonna use that to fill our shakers with liquid. But don't worry, we're gonna do a dry shaker first so that you get the hang of it. You are going to see a couple different molds. So there is a circle mold and there's also a square. You are going to have one or the other. You're not gonna have both, you're gonna have one or the other. So this is one of the projects. You're also going to see a fun little tumbler mold. This is a really fun shaker. It's our #1 shaker mold, so I figured why not do that in the kit. So this is gonna be a really fun one as well. I'm excited about this. You're also going to have one of our exclusive pendant molds. It's gonna look like this. Now you may have a different shape, but we have 3 different shapes. We have a square, we have a rectangle, and then we also have an oval. So you're gonna have one of these in your kit. And I'm going to show you the technique for each one in case you have one or the other. Okay, you're gonna have 2 pieces of shaker film. This is what we're going to use to seal our shakers. You're also going to have a weeding tool. This is what I use to trace on the film so that I don't leave any marks on it before I seal it down to the piece that I cast. You will have 2 different glitters. You will have a chunky glitter. This is what we're going to use for our little tumbler. And this is a fluffy glitter. It's super fun. It's a rainbow mix. And we are going to use that in one of our shakers as well. Now in the class supply list, I did say if you want to bring more glitter, you can. I'm gonna be using all kinds of glitter tonight, so you can use anything from your personal stash. Don't feel like you have to use what was in the kit. It was just a little bonus for you. You're also going to have shaker fillers. Now, I included one that we're gonna use for the tumblers so that we can make a lavender lemonade. It's gonna be super cute. And some opal stars. These are always a good filler. And then a big, huge variety pack of clay. That way you can see a little bit of everything that we have in the shop, and if you're going for something themed, you're gonna know we have it. So we kind of made a little bit of a mega mix for you. That way you can kind of pick out what you want to use. We have a little bag of hardware. This is a magnet that we are going to use on one of our shakers so that you can actually put it to use tonight right after the class. And you're also going to see 2 pinch bails. Those are going to be used for our pendants, and I wanted to give you 2 so that you can make 2 pendants, one during the class and one after. We're going to be using a mini silicone cup to mix our resin and our glitter together. We also included 100 grams of resin. So you may have 2 50-gram bottles, you may have a 100-gram bottle, it doesn't matter. But we are gonna be using the original formula for this. This formula is made for casting, it's made for doming, it's made for acrylic blanks, sealing shakers, just about everything. So this one is the one that we will be using tonight. We are also going to be using our brand new Glimmer Cure formula. This is the original formula, only it has the glitter in it already. Now you may have one color and somebody might have another. We decided to do a variety so that you guys can try different things, but this already has the glitter in it, so it's mess-free and super easy. So we're gonna be using this on one of our shakers as well. Last but not least in the kit, we have a snow globe silicone brush blank. Everyone asks how to make this, and I still don't think that I have a video on how to do it. So this is a great opportunity for me to show you how to do it and to get started with something small that we can use during the whole entire class. So this is what I want to start with. This is what I want you to make first. That way we can actually use it for the class. So I want you to go ahead and take it out of the little tube here. And you're going to notice that it has a couple different pieces to it. So it has the bottom portion here that I want you to take off. And then it has a little white plug, and then it has the barrel here. And we're actually going to fill this up, and I'm going to show you how to seal it to make it something super, super duper fun. So go ahead and open up your Magic Flow. Now you can decide if you want to do a liquid snow globe brush or if you want to do a dry one with just glitter, you can do that as well. If you decide to do it with a dry, I would fill it all the way up with glitter from top to bottom so that it looks really good. If you decide to do a liquid one, this is what it is going to look like. So it's going to be super, super fun. Go ahead and open up your Magic Flow, and we are going to use our little syringe. So you can go ahead and open that up as well. And I'm going to show you how to put it together because we're going to be using this a couple different times during the class. So this is not dangerous. Don't worry. It is a blunt edge. You're just going to take the pink tip and you're going to screw it right onto the bottom. That's going to make it really easy to get that solution out of the bottle. One other thing that I could suggest to make it even quicker and easier is one of these lovely little bottles. This is what I keep my Magic Flow in. It already has the needle on it. It has a nice little cap on it. We do sell these in the shop. It does make it a lot more handy than doing multiple steps. So when it comes to glitter, I try not to go too big with the glitter. I try to go with like a medium chunky. So if you guys want to get into your stash, you can use the yellow if you want to. You can use the fluffy. It's completely up to you what you want to do. But we are going to mix up our little solution here with our glitter. And then we're going to pour it into our barrel. And it's really completely up to you. I'll kind of show you what it looks like when you do this. So I'm going to add a little bit of solution to my glitter, and I'll show you what it looks like. So you can actually add it and then dump it into your snow globe brush. You're just going to pour it into the barrel like this. Now if you use a microfine glitter, it's going to go in super easy. If you're using a chunky glitter, it's going to take a little bit longer. I'm just going to top it off. I'm going to put it right above the line here. And then we're going to take our little white plug, a little bit of space here so that you have a little bit of a bubble. Otherwise your shaker won't move at all. Go ahead and put your gloves on. We're going to use the original formula for this. You can actually use any formula for this. It all cures well. You can even use the Topcoat UV resin, which is our gummy resin. It really doesn't matter because it will all be a tight seal. Go ahead and make sure that your barrel is dry. I usually dry it around and then on top to make sure it's nice and dry. Then what we're going to do is we are going to take our original formula, and I'm just going to put a little drop right on top of that. And I'm going to use my paper towel to make sure that there isn't too much because you want to be able to put it back together. So I'm just going to wipe all the way around. And then I'm going to use my pocket lamp to cure it. So you can use any lamp that you want. If you have the magic cure, you can just pick it up and put it over top. But this will cure it in about 10 seconds. We are going to take our barrel and we are going to put it right down onto that. And I'm gonna show you how to put just a little bit of resin right here, just to make sure that it stays together, because it is going to be a little bit loose if you don't do that last step. So we're gonna do that together. So I'm gonna use the original formula for that as well, and my pocket lamp. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little bit right on my glove, and I'm just gonna roll the barrel right around that seam, right into the resin. And then I'm gonna spin it a couple times to let it level out. And then I'm gonna cure it with the pocket lamp. And I usually cure it with the pocket lamp for about 10-20 seconds, and then I throw it in the magic cure to finish up the cure. You're gonna use the magic cure, just do a 36 watts for about a minute, and you're gonna be good to go. And then you're gonna have a silicone brush to use during this class, which is super fun. Let's go ahead and get ready for our next project here. So I want you to get your circle or your square mold, the larger one. We're going to be working with that one next. So go ahead and unwrap that. You can use whatever glitter that you want. Like I said, I am saving this yellow glitter for the tumbler because the tumbler shaker and the lavender lemonade looks really good with this one. And I'm gonna go with something really fun, and it's called Around the World. Around the World. So this is from our Mirror Shine Techno series. We're going to take our original formula and we're going to fill up our cup about 3/4 of the way with this UV resin. And then we're going to take our glitter, whatever glitter you choose, and we're going to add that to the top. Now what I usually do, because this is a bigger project, you're going to want to do it in a couple different batches. So unless you have a bigger silicone cup, you can do it in one batch if you want to, if you have a bigger silicone cup, but you don't have to. And I have this fun little snow globe brush that we're gonna use now, my little gambler one. So we're gonna go ahead and stir this up. And I also, sometimes depending on the temperature of my studio, I will warm my resin up if I know I'm putting it in a mold, because it gets it really runny and it's super easy to get into all those little crevices of the mold. I have my resin and my glitter mixed up really well. This one is so pretty. And one of the things that I typically will do before I pour is I will use this lighter and just sweep across the top. That way, if there are any surface bubbles, I can quickly nip them. Then we're going to pour into the center. I always pour into the center and let it naturally run and level out. And the reason I do that is because you're much less likely to have an air packet that gets trapped and it leaves a pit in your piece. Now I can show you how to fix those, but this is the easiest way to prevent them. Now that I have my second batch, we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna pour it right to the center and let it level out. All the way to the edge. You want a nice crisp line there. And 2 usually is the perfect amount to measure to get it completely. Now that we have our mold completely full, we are going to take our lighter and we are going to quickly sweep it across the surface. And then what I like to do is pick it up and just tap it a couple times. That way, if there are any bubbles, it will help them move to the surface. We're gonna let that sit for about 10 or 20 seconds, and then we're gonna give it one more sweep with the lighter. So what I'm gonna do now is we are going to use our lamp. We're using the bigger lamp to cure this. If you only have a pocket lamp, you can use the pocket lamp to do it. It's just gonna take you a little bit longer. So the pocket lamp is really handy when it comes to shakers, especially when we start working with our film, but there are there's little timer settings on the top that you're gonna use this dial for. We have 10 seconds, we have 60 seconds, and we have 120 seconds. You're gonna want the 60 seconds, and you're just going to sit here and do this for 60 seconds. And then you're gonna turn it over and do that again. If you're using the magic here, which I am right here, you're going to turn your wattage up to 36 watts. So 36 watts, and we are going to go in at 60 seconds. That is all you need to cure this from start to finish, is 60 seconds. So we're gonna go ahead and run that. And I will see if there are any questions that you guys have while we are curing this. Are there any questions on YouTube? Awesome, that means I'm doing my job. That's what I like to hear. Okay, so we have about 30 seconds left on this cure. I'm gonna show you guys some really fun shakers that you can make. The cool thing about these shakers is they have cut files. So what that means is that you can actually download from our website, you can download the cut file that has the exact shape of the shaker, so that when you cut out the film, it matches perfect. You don't have to trace, which is what I'm going to teach you, because that is an essential skill. But it is nice and it is handy to have that option. So just to show you a couple different ones, this is the a heart. So somebody in the medical field, this is really cute. We're going to turn over our mold because we're going to cure it on the other side for, yep, you guessed it, 60 more seconds. We have these little pill bottles, which are super fun. We have a hot air balloon. This one glows in the dark. I love this one. And this one actually has a badge reel attached to it. So very popular. And a little syringe. This one is awesome for children's hospitals because it has all the different characters in it and all the different shapes. When I'm doing my final coat on something like a necklace or earrings or even an acrylic blank, I always start at the lowest wattage and I work my way up, because the slower the cure, the better the finish. So you're not worried about a finish when you're doing the base. Okay, so you saw how easy it was to clean that cup. You're just gonna take it out of the lamp, squeeze it together, peel that resin out, and your cup is ready to go for the next project. But I have this gorgeous piece, look at that. I'm so excited to take it out. So go ahead and take it out of the mold. And you can see how quick that UV resin cures. It is so fast. It was just 60 seconds on each side. And you're left with this gorgeous piece. Look at that. So pretty.
That is so pretty.
Mm-hmm. So pretty. Okay, so one thing I want to point out in your molds, you'll see this little channel right here. This is an inverted piece of the mold, and this is what is going to give you the channel to fill your mold with solution if you wish. So it's going to leave this little imperfection right here, but it's actually there on purpose because that is how you would fill it if you want to do a liquid shaker. So keep that in mind. We are going to take just a tiny little square of sandpaper and we are going to sand the edge. And the reason we're going to sand all the way around the edge is because we want it to be nice and rough. It is what is going to help us adhere that film to the top. Now if you have the square one, it's going to be a little bit easier than the circle, but I got faith in you guys. I don't think it's going to matter. You guys are going to kill it. So we are going to sand this outer rim, and then we're going to take a little bit of alcohol spray and we're just going to spray it on a little piece of paper towel, and we're going to go all the way around and clean that dust. We don't want dust in our piece. We also don't want it to interfere with our adhesion. Now that that is done, what I want you to do is grab a piece of your shaker film like this, and we are going to trace with our weeding tool the shape of your shaker. So if it's a square, you're going to do a square. If you have the square, I'll give you a little tip that makes it a lot easier. What you want to do is you want to take your film and you want to place it halfway in the middle of the mold on the corner, because then all you're going to have to do is trace two sides. The people that have the circle, you're going to have a little more of a challenge, and I'm going to show you what to do with that as well. All right, so you're going to go right up to the corner here, and you're gonna hold that film on there, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your weeding tool, that sharp edge, and you're going to trace all the way around the shaker in the middle, all the way around. A lot of people will use a marker for this, but I don't like doing a marker because then you gotta clean the marker up off of it. So you're just gonna trace all the way around, and you're gonna be left with this line, and we're gonna cut that with scissors. And I usually will cut right up to the edge so I don't have all this excess to work with. And then we're just gonna start cutting our circle. And what I usually will do is I will start my cut and make sure that it's gonna line up right. Always trim. I usually go a little bit wider, and then I go back and perfect it. Okay, so we have this little circle. I'm gonna hold it up to my shaker and make sure that it is in the middle of the mold all the way around. So you can see it's in the middle of where that edge is. Okay, so we have our shaker here, and what I want to show you is this film actually has a protective barrier on it. So the way that I find which side the barrier is on is I use tape. You can use, this is a packing slip, you can use tape, but what I do is I will put the packing slip on one edge, and if you pull back and you see that the plastic comes with it, you know that's the right edge. If you put it on the other side and it's not budging, that's the side you don't want to touch. But what I do is I take that clean side, and that's what's going to go face down into our shaker. So I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to do the fun part, which is filling this bad boy up. So you guys can grab your clay, and you can pick out whatever fun pieces you want. We have so many to pick from. We even have these little combos that have little like shapes for teachers. This is a teacher combo, so it's got pencils, little chalkboards, erasers, rulers, staplers. It's got a little school bus. So I'm just gonna do the variety. We're just gonna kind of do a variety in this one. So I'm gonna go with this mega mix, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna dump that in here. And I am also gonna jazz it up a little bit with some of these opal stars. So I'm gonna add a few of those in there. Another really fun thing that you can add to these that makes it really cool is 3D glitter. And I'll show you what that is as well. So we're gonna add a little bit of opal stars. And these are teeny tiny stars. These also go well in the silicone brushes. Take your UV resin, and if you're not comfortable pouring it onto the shaker, what I want you to do is I want you to put just a little bit on your mat, your workspace mat. And we are actually going to pick it up and put it onto the shaker. That way we know we're not putting too much. If you put too much UV resin on there, the problem is it tends to slide. The piece of film will slide around, and then you're gonna have UV resin on the underside, and it's gonna cloud your piece. So we try to do a very thin layer, just enough to seal that film on there. I'm going to take this protective film off. So now you're gonna see it looks totally different. It looks like a window now. It's very clean and clear. Now you can just place it down. If you are more comfortable using a pair of tweezers to do that, you can do that as well, which is what I'm gonna do. And you're just gonna place it right into the middle of that shaker, just like that. Once you see that it's down all the way around, you're going to take your little lamp. You can use your big lamp, little lamp, whatever you have, and we're going to just cure this piece of film down to this shaker. Okay, so now it shakes. You've got your dry shaker. Look at that. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, guys. You guys did a great job. So now we're going to do a top coat on this. So now that it's sealed all the way around and I don't have to worry about anything, we're just going to top it off with a nice clear top coat, and that's where the beauty begins to happen. So we're going to put UV resin about the size of a $50 onto the top, and then we're going to spread it around. You want to make sure that your brush doesn't have anything on it because it will end up in this resin. So once you get it spread all the way to the edge, it's going to hide that little edge where you see the film meet the shaker. It's going to hide all of that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of heat to get rid of any surface bubbles all the way across. I'm going to let it rest for 10 seconds, and then I'm going to give it another sweep of heat. Now, I do 2 coats on these, so don't stress if you do the first coat and you're like, oh my gosh, that looks terrible. I usually do 2 coats, and that makes all the difference. So now let's talk about the curing with the Magicure on this one, because remember how I talked about the final finish on things? Even though this isn't the final finish, it's still a clear finish, and it will kind of get it ready for that final finish. So I usually will start my wattage at the 6, which is the lowest one, and I'll go 120 seconds. And so I'm 120 seconds, my wattage is at 6, and every 10 seconds, you want to bump that wattage up. And you're going to bump that up until it gets to the 36 watts, and then we'll finish out the cure at 36 watts. And what that's going to do is it's going to prevent any imperfections, so it's going to be even easier to do your top coat, but it's also going to prepare you to do the top coat so you know how to do it. After you learn how to do it, you'll be able to just do 36 watts, 60 seconds, and then you'll titrate up on the final one. So now that that is cured, let's take a peek. So cute. I love it. So cute, you guys. And it's, I mean, you could even go without a top coat on this, but I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. So this looks great. I mean, this really does. It's even got a little bit of a dome to it. It's so cute. So, so cute. Let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how to seal up that hole real quick so that you can do that before we do the final coat. So again, put a little bit of resin on your mat, just a tiny little bit. And then what I want you to do is I want you to find that hole, and I want you to pick that resin up, and you're just going to dab it right into that hole, just like that. And once it starts to go into that channel, I want you to spread it out around it, and that's what's going to give it that nice tight seal. And then we're going to use our pocket lamp to seal it. And it's just that simple, guys. Then when you do your top coat, your final coat, you know that it's going to be perfect. All right, so this next step is a trust the process, because it looks like you're destroying your shaker when in reality, you're just prepping it for the next coat. So we are going to need sandpaper for this next step. So go ahead and take your sandpaper, and you are going to gently sand, and I'm going to put this over a paper towel. I always use paper towel to catch all the dust. And it looks like I'm destroying it, this beautiful shaker that I just finished, but I'm actually going to be making it even better. So you're going to sand it all the way across. You're going to get your edges, make them nice and round. This is your chance to take care of any imperfections that you might find on your piece. And this is what it looks like. Ah, yikes, right? But don't worry, we're going to fix that. So we are going to use some alcohol spray. We're going to spray the top of that, and we're going to wipe that down and get rid of any dust. Once I get the final coat on, I'm actually going to let it rest for a little bit. So let's go ahead. We're going to do the same exact thing that we did for the initial coat. We're going to go in with about a $1/2 size. We're going to stretch that all the way across. And we're going to move it from the middle. I always pour in the middle and work to the edges. That way you don't risk over pour, which it can happen. But if it does, all you have to do is just sand that little spot and recoat it. So it's not that big of a deal, but I do try to stay as close to the edge as I can without going over. And if you are doing that, if you're warming your resin before this coat, I would keep some aside that's not warm, because if it's warm, it will run right over the edge and you're going to be frustrated. So make sure it is at room temperature during this step. We're going to sweep that with a little bit of heat. And then we're going to let this rest. So I'm actually going to pull it over here to the side, and we're going to let that rest for a few minutes while we move on to our next project, which is the tumbler shaker. So what I want you to do is I want you to get that mold, this little guy here, go ahead and get him open and ready to go. This is one that we designed in-house, guys. Super fun. And I do like to have my resin warm for this. So if you have the warm resin ready, go for it. If not, no worries. We are going to use the yellow glitter for this. It pairs very well with the lavender lemonade shaker filler that is also in your kit. We do have kits for sale still in the shop. So you can actually go and get a kit, and by the time you get it in the mail, you're going to be able to view the recording. So it's like perfect win-win. If you have any overrun here, if you have any over pour right here, you're going to want to make sure, this is why I do it on a paper towel, because you can actually see it. Right before you cure it, you're going to move it. You're just going to shift it, and that's going to take care of that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my magic here, and I'm going to put it down at the 6 watts, and I'm going to titrate up like I showed you how on the initial coat. So go ahead and titrate up on this. You're going to go every 10 seconds. You're going to bump that wattage up, and you're going to be able to get this amazing glossy finish. You're going to be so excited. But these are so beautiful when they're done. I am going to move this out of the way and let this finish curing. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. I'm going to let that finish out curing since it's up to the 36 watts and get ready for everything here. Now you will notice some lines inside the mold there. That's detail. And what that allows you to do is go in later with some acrylic paint and fill that in before your final coat. So you can decide whether or not you want to do your coat tonight, or you want to wait and do the detail and then do the final coat. It's completely up to you. But I'm going to get you to the point where we seal this up and do one initial coat, and then you can decide what you want to do. Okay, so go ahead and grab your resin and get that ready. And I'm going to show you guys, look how cute this is. Adorable. And look at that shine. You cannot match that shine. It is gorgeous. There are no flaws whatsoever. That magic here is spot on every time. You don't have to worry about any pits. You don't have to worry about the orange peel look, the little striations that other lamps can leave, because this lamp was made for UV resin specifically, and that's why everybody loves it so much. But it is flawless, that finish. It's gorgeous. Yes, we do have all of these, most of these molds. Some of these are made with acrylic blanks, but for the most part, we have the molds and the cut files in our shop. We are going to go ahead and pour our resin into our cup, and I will use warm resin for this one. And I'm going to fill my cup up about halfway. And then we're going to use our yellow glitter. And we're going to use about half. And don't worry, if the screen goes black, it will come right back. I think that's got to be a setting. Got to be a setting.
Great question on YouTube.
How do we turn a completed shaker into a keychain? I will tell you all about that too. So at the end of these projects, I'm going to show you how to turn everything we make into different things. Badge reels, keychains, a magnet. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you a phone grip. I'm going to show you all the fun things so that you guys can create something on your own as well. Okay. We're going to add a little bit of heat to that. And we're going to go ahead and pour into the center just like we did before and gently let that go to the edges. Slow and steady wins the race here. You don't want to pour too fast. You really want it to coat all the way around evenly. And since this is a smaller mold, I'm going to show you guys one of the things that I do to help prevent any air pockets. And that is a micro brush. So these are linked in our Amazon storefront, which is at the bottom of our website. But these are so handy when you're doing molds that have a lot of detail. So what I will do is I will take this brush and I will sweep it through the edge all the way around before I fill it to the top. Once you fill it to the top, it's going to be hard to do this. But what that does is it loosens up any air pockets and allows them to get to the top. That way you don't have any pits in your piece. If you don't feel like mixing more, if you don't have enough to fill it to the top, you can just top it off with clear because that glitter is going to settle to the bottom. So you don't really have to worry too much. Just eyeball your piece from the side and you want it to be up to the line. So I'm just going to add just a little bit more. Super easy. All right, we're going to add a little bit of heat. Give it a little tap. Add a little bit of heat. And then we're going to cure. 36 watts for 60 seconds. We're going to flip it over and do 60 seconds on the other side as well. Does it matter what heat you use? A lighter, butane? Okay, so for acrylic blanks, I will use butane, but not always. If you can get away with using a lighter, I highly recommend it because it doesn't add too much heat and it doesn't add too much pressure. When you're using butane, you can easily burn that, which you don't want to do, but you can also easily heat it up too much and then it's not going to work very well. It's going to run over the edge. So we want to try to prevent that at all cost. So go ahead and take that out of the mold. And you'll see I have a little bit of overpour right here. This is called a deburring tool. This is one of our most popular tools and I'll show you why. Because it works like a potato peeler, only it swivels. And what it does is it prevents you from having to sand because you're just going to take it against your piece and it's going to take that little edge right off. So you won't have to sand it. You're just going to peel it right off and it's going to be nice and smooth and flawless. You don't have to finish this while we're working together here, but this is the one where you can add this detail before the final coat. So now you're going to turn your piece and you're going to see this little channel. That's the one that we want to keep open for the liquid. We want to make sure that we keep that open. So we're going to go ahead and follow that same process. We are going to sand the top of this shaker. And we are also going to measure up our shaker film. So these are the next two steps that we're going to do. I have a little piece of shaker film left from the last shaker. And I'm just going to hold that up to my little tumbler. And I'm going to use the weeding tool. Or if you have a pin pusher, you can use the pin pusher. And we're going to trace that. And then we're going to cut.
Can you tell me the color of the yellow glitter?
I think it is every time we touch. It's the same series as the round shaker. There's a whole series of it. It's so pretty. So I'm gonna match it up, make sure it's good. And I cut a little bit wide to give myself a little bit of grace. And that looks great. We sand all the way around it. And then we're going to clean it. And I always sand here also. You want to sand at the top of that little straw there because we want to put resin on the entire thing. This is when you would want to put your detail on if you're using film beyond this. I usually try to keep the film below that line, so you have a little bit of leeway there. All right, we're gonna take our lovely little lavender lemonade and we're gonna bring this cup to life. So we're gonna sprinkle some of that in there. And again, you can make this, you can just make it a dry shaker if you want. If you don't want to mess with the liquid, you don't have to. It is totally up to you. This is your shaker. You can pick pieces that you want specifically for it, which makes it a lot of fun, but this is gonna be so cute, look at that. You are going to place that shaker film right on top, make sure it matches, and then take off that protective film that we talked about. Find which side it's on. It's not on that side. It is on this side right here. So we're gonna peel that off. And it's ready to go. I'm just gonna put a little bit of UV resin on my mat. We're going to use our silicone brush and we're just going to go along the perimeter so we can seal it in. Make sure you omit the hole. Don't put UV resin in the hole because we're gonna need that channel to be open for that film. And we're gonna lay this film down right into the center, just like that. We're gonna use our pocket lamp and we're gonna seal it down all the way around. Okay, so we've got our film on there, you can see. It's nice and shaky, which is fun. So let's go ahead and we are going to put our first coat on here. So go ahead and put some UV resin down the middle of your shaker. We're gonna move this to the edge. All the way around. And since I'm not doing that little detail, I'm just gonna fill that in with UV resin. Up through the straw. And then we're gonna go in and cure that at the 36 watts for 60 seconds. All right, look at that, you guys. So if you were keeping this as a dry shaker, this looks beautiful. You don't need to do anything else to it. This coat was perfect. It doesn't even need a second coat because it's a smaller piece. But we are going to do something even next level and we are going to fill it with liquid. So what I want you to do is take your syringe. I'm going to use my little bottle here and we are going to put a little bit of UV resin on our mat so that it's ready to go. We're gonna have our lamp handy and we're gonna have our silicone brush handy as well. You're going to hold your shaker at an angle. You're going to take your syringe, you're going to put it right into the channel and you're gonna see that syringe, or the little edge, you're gonna see it in there. start to gently squeeze. Don't squeeze too fast. You're gonna go gentle until you start to see it fill up. And then once it's about 3/4 of the way full, I like to tap it to get any air pockets loosened so that I can make sure that I can fill it to the max. Kind of shake it, make sure all the clay is coated. And then we're gonna go back in and we're going to fill it to the top, right until it spills over there, just a touch. You're gonna dry that up. And what I usually will do is put just a little bit of alcohol on a paper towel, and I will just clean that area because we wanna make sure that UV resin sticks real well. Have your lamp ready, pick up some of this resin, and just like I showed you on the dry shaker, you're just gonna put it right into that hole. And then you're gonna use your pocket lamp to seal it up. It's a little clunky with the magic here. It's clunky with a big lamp. That's why these pocket lamps are so handy. Look how cute this is, you guys. Look how cute. So cute. Look, there's not even any air in there. That's how good we are, you guys. Look how cute that is. So cute. Okay, so let's do our next project, and then once we do that, I'm gonna show you how to bring these to life. So I'm gonna show you some different options on bringing these to life. I'm gonna show you how to transform your pieces into functional things. So let's talk about some functional things that you're going to be able to do after this class that I've included in your kit that you will be able to do. So this bigger shaker here, I would recommend doing the magnet on this one. The magnet that I included in your kit actually has the adhesive on it already. So you're going to peel that adhesive off and put it on the magnet, and then what I usually do is I sand the back and then I put the magnet on and you've got a magnet. Instant. Super easy, super quick, very strong magnet, so like be careful with that. But that's what I would do if you want to do a magnet. If you have a phone grip blank in your kit, these are also super easy. You're going to sand the back of your shaker. You're going to peel this adhesive off. You're going to stick it to your shaker, and then this actually expands and becomes your phone grip. Now, if you want it to be extra secure, which I usually do because I don't want to take a chance of my phone dropping, I will UV resin around this once I get it stuck. That way I know for sure it's not going anywhere. But this is how you make a super easy phone grip. Badge rails, if you want to do something like this, is something called 3M Dual Lock. And that is also going to be in our Amazon storefront. And all it is really strong Velcro tape that goes together. And the cool thing is you can make your badge reels or anything else interchangeable by just taking it off of the Velcro and then putting it on. So you can make it a phone grip, you can make it a badge reel, you can interchange your badge reels, which is a lot of fun. So that's one little trick that I can teach you so that you don't have to glue each one. You can interchange your little fun beaded badge reels. And then the keychain question. So we always get the question of a keychain. Keychains are super easy. All you have to do for a keychain is use a small drill bit, and you can look on Amazon for little eye hooks. And all you have to do is you're gonna drill into a part where the liquid is not. You're gonna drill a small hole, and then you're gonna screw in that eye hook. And I usually UV resin around it to make sure it's nice and secure. And then I add the keychain hardware to it. And that's it. It is that simple. Super, super easy. So look on Amazon for eye hooks. We are moving on to our pendant. So go ahead and get your pendant mold out. So the nice thing about Glimmer Cure is that you don't have to mix any of the glitter with it. So you can pick whatever color you want. I'm gonna use blush, which is a pink color.
Pretty.
Super pretty. But this actually will go into the channel. So you can put it right into the channel of the mold and just pipe it in all the way around. And it already has that glitter in it, so you don't have to do anything. Once you get it all the way around, you're just going to pipe it across the top. Just like that. And then I usually take my silicone brush and I just kind of guide it up to that peg. You can warm it up ahead of time and make it a little bit more runny if you want to, but you don't have to. And you just want to make sure it gets all the way around in that peg. And then we're going to cure it. And again, you guys can use the micro brush if you want. If you are worried about any air pockets, just quickly take your micro brush and just dab it in all the way across. All right, we're gonna top it off. Just a little bit more. And then we're gonna add some heat. Get rid of any surface bubbles that you just allowed to get to the top. Make sure it's full, but not covering the peg. That's key. And then heat. And then 60 seconds on each side at that 36 watts. And that is it for Glimmer Cure. That's how quick and easy it is.
So quick.
So quick, so easy. It saves a ton of time, as you can see, a lot of legwork. So if you're making a lot, especially of jewelry, that comes in handy. If you're doing acrylic blanks, you can use it without doming, which is incredible. So it is a very easy to use product.
We're gonna flip this around, do another 60 seconds at 36 watts.
But I am gonna show you how to put the pinch bail on, because that part is key to this. But you can see how beautiful and smooth and shiny it is. So you're gonna follow that same process that we just did with the tumbler. You're gonna put the film on, trace it, put it down, seal it, and then when you're done, in your little bag with your magnet, there are pinch bails. And we sell these individually too if you need more. But all you're gonna do is you just pull apart your pinch bail, and you can use pliers if you need to, which I usually do. And we are just gonna hold one end, and we're gonna pull it apart. And then you are going to take this, put it right up to the top of your pendant, and then you're gonna squeeze it together. And both of those little pegs are gonna go right into the pendant, and you have this adorable little shaker necklace. These are so cute. This is what it looks like when it's finished and sealed. So you can put any kind of clay in there that you want. Okay, guys. Well, this has been super fun. If you want to buy a kit, we do have some available. You can follow along and make all of these fun shakers. If you have any follow-up questions, please be sure to reach out to us so we can help you.
You can do that by emailing us at help@resinrockers.com or join our Facebook group. It's Resin Rockers Tips and Tricks. I'll see you soon for another resin art tutorial.